Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Shaka Hislop and Stevie Nicol. Now, normally when you think of Rob Dawson, you think of a dour figure in the Manchester rain. Not today, though. Look at this.
Wow.
Wow. Big time.
What an upgrade.
What an upgrade, indeed. Where are you, Rob?
I am in Fort Lauderdale, which is, in terms of weather, is about as far as it gets from Manchester as you can possibly get.
Oggy would still be sitting in the shade. Rob's obviously there following Manchester City around, and it's been quite the summer of activity in the transfer market already for Pep Guardiola's side. Obviously, Rayan Cherki, one of the big names that join. But let's talk about two at the top, shall we? Aït-Nouri and Reijnders, who spoke to the media today.
What kind of conversations did you have with Pep since you've arrived? Has he spoken to you at all about your role and what he expects of you at City?
No, we speak about everything, you know, about the life, about the city with in Manchester. Yeah, for sure, he know what I can do. I think can improve with me a lot because we know he's the best manager in the world. We saw the last few years what City they did in the pitch. It was incredible.
How did the move to City come about?
Yeah, they contacted my father near the end of the season, and yeah, they were looking for a number 8. And for me, it was not a big doubt if I wanted to join Manchester City. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world right now, and yeah, the choice was in the end was easy to make. Of course, Milan will always be in my heart. I had 2 really good seasons there, met very nice people, but yeah, you have also look the sportive way, and yeah, I want to reach some goals in my career, and I think I can reach those here quickly.
And how important was it for you to work with Pep Guardiola?
Yes, that's also a big thing, of course. The best coach in the world, and yeah, I am very eager to learn new things here and the style of playing.
Who do you look up to? Who are your references as midfielders?
When I was younger, I always looked to Andres Iniesta, how he read the game, how he played the game, his technical ability, and also to Kevin De Bruyne, how he was scanning the pitch, his passes he gave. Those were the players as a midfielder I look to, and I try to adapt that as well in my game.
So that's who you want to emulate, Kevin De Bruyne, then?
No, I'm not here to replace him. I have to play my own game, but yeah, I take things from different players and what they can do really good, and I try to adapt that as well in my game.
Well, Manchester City fans must be delighted. You've got 2 players who come in early and who are, what, straight in the starting 11 pretty much, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly that. You know, City have been particularly efficient with their transfer business. They've got 4 new players in June before the Club World Cup. All 4 of them are here with City in Florida. Aït-Nouri is a Premier League proven left back. They haven't had a specialist left back in the squad for a while, and last year it was Josko Gvardiol who was playing there, who's really a centre half. Reijnders, you know, a great box-to-box midfielder, voted the best midfielder in Serie A last season, got 10 Serie A goals, and City were desperate for legs in that midfield last season. And it seems like they've kind of cured a lot of the problems that they had last season. Obviously, it's always a risk bringing new players, and you can never guarantee a player who's going to come in and hit the ground running straight away. But in terms of how clever City have been, and also the fees that they've paid for these players, you know, it looks very, very smart business by them.
Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it, Stevie? If I'm a City fan, I'm feeling pretty good about what's happened over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think you know, Cherki going forward, Reijnders, I think, is going to be the new Gundogan. You know, do the job that he did.
So he'll play alongside Rodrygo, basically?
I would assume so, and try and emulate what Gundogan did the year before he left, scoring goals. And of course, Aït-Nouri going forward, creating. So yeah, on paper, absolutely, they look like smart decisions.
And we've talked about the Club World Cup, the positives and the negatives. Surely a positive is a sense that you get in early with your team, you get a feel for what Pep Guardiola wants.
And also, just as a general rule of thumb, the later you get in the transfer window, things just seem to get a little bit more desperate. You just wonder if prices become inflated. So getting your business done early, I think financially is good business for Manchester City, and then having them for the Club World Cup, settling in, because there's a lot for Pep Guardiola to put right, given what we saw from City last season. So getting them in early, getting them settled in the side, and understanding all the dynamics around what needs to be done, what needs to change for City, all the better.
You've been obviously on pre-season tours with clubs in the past. Obviously, you've travelled for big tournaments as well, Rob. What's the feel from your perspective personally going into this tournament from a City point of view?
Well, I think City are certainly here to win it. I mean, it was a message that Aït-Nouri and Reijnders both gave us today when we were speaking to them in those interviews. One important distinction that City have made is that this isn't a tournament that's been tagged on the end of last season. For them, this is the start of a new season. And when City landed here on Thursday, they had a little dinner, they had a stretch outside, they came in for a team meeting, and Pep Guardiola sat them all down and said, we are here to win it. Don't think that this is a holiday. You know, you're not here to play golf. You are here to win this tournament. And I think that's trickled down into the players, and certainly the message from all the players that we're speaking to, the staff members that we're seeing around their training base at Lynn University, at Boca Raton, are all saying the same thing. You know, they are here to win this tournament.
For someone like Aït-Nouri, Stevie, what's easier, playing for Wolves or playing for City?
I would suggest playing for City. You know, he's going to do. Listen, Donald's critical of how he couldn't defend, but he's certainly not going to be asked to do as much defending as he was with Wolves. And so, yeah, I would suggest that the better players that you play with actually should, in theory, bring the best out of you.
But the reason I'm asking, it's a daft question, like from the outside, obviously, but you look at players who have gone to bigger clubs before and who have done well at smaller teams, and then not put in those same sort of performances. Right. At that level.
Well, I actually think as well what's going to help Aït-Nouri is the fact that there are quite a lot of signings. Right. You know, if you're one guy alone being brought into a championship team, all of a sudden you got one job to do. You got to replace the guy that you pulled in to not compete with, but do what he's done previously, a la winning championships, whether it's domestically or in Europe. But when you've got 3 or 4, the spotlight isn't quite on you. And I would suggest that the spotlight's probably going to be on the likes of Cherki and Reijnders, particularly because Reijnders is coming from being, you know, arguably the best player in Serie A. So I think Aït-Nouri is in a good position where he can come in a little unnoticed and be able to get on with his job, because that's what we all want to do at the end of the day. We don't want the noise outside or inside or whatever. We want to be able to come in, give our best, and do our job, and that's it. That's what we want.
I think it's a very different ask in playing for City than playing for Wolves, though. In terms of you're playing for City at a higher level, there's a higher expectation, mistakes are punished. Well, if you're playing, for example, in a Champions League fixture, mistakes are punished in a way that you don't really have to face with Wolves. And you can get away with some of those things for Wolves that maybe you can't get away with Manchester City. But that being said, as players, this is what we want. We want that high-pressure situation. We strive to play in bigger clubs, to play in those bigger games, and at the very least, see how you cope. So you don't shun that opportunity, because with it comes more pressure.
The one thing I would say, not just Aït-Nouri, but everybody else, when you go to a top team as a player, and everybody's different, as soon as you realise that you're accepted and you belong there, that's when you take off.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody's different. It takes some people longer than others, but that's the key. As soon as a player, you realise, you know what, this might be Man City, they might be European champions, they might be triple Premier League or 4-time Premier League winners, but you know what? I deserve to be here, and I fit in here.
And it is slightly different to the signings maybe we've seen them make over the last couple of years, Rob. Obviously, they brought in Savinho, brilliant season for Girona. Didn't quite replicate that sort of form. Doku, young, exciting, but had plenty of space to grow. For someone like Reijnders, as Stevie said, the best player in Serie A last year, you're getting someone who comes in and he is grown already.
Yeah, and I think it probably acknowledges, or City acknowledging, that they perhaps made a mistake last summer, that they didn't make as many changes to the squad as perhaps they should. I mean, Pep Guardiola has referenced that last season, that maybe he put too much faith in the likes of Gundogan and Bernardo Silva to kind of replicate their performances again. With Reijnders, you know, you're not getting a 21-year-old midfielder, you're getting a 26-year-old proven midfielder in one of Europe's top 5 leagues in Italy. You know, he comes in as Serie A's best midfielder, so he'll be expected to play, you know, straight away, to make an impact straight away. There will be no kind of expectation of a bedding in period. It will be about him hitting the ground running and playing a key role straight away.
And let's just remind you, shall we, of Manchester City's group for this Club World Cup, which of course kicks off tonight. Inter Miami in action in the opening game for Manchester City, of course. They'll be playing tomorrow against Wydad. Juventus and Al Ain make up their group. Just in general, obviously we saw quite a few journalists in the training for Manchester City before, Rob. How much attention is there around City and this tournament from the world's media?
Well, I mean, to be honest, there hasn't been that much hype around City. We were at training yesterday. There wasn't many people there watching training. It's been quite understated so far. Obviously, there was a few more people there today because there was player access. In terms of the tournament itself, I mean, I've been in Miami or around Miami since about Wednesday. There isn't an awful lot of sort of advertising. You know, you wouldn't necessarily know it was going on if you were just driving down the highway. There's not an awful lot of adverts on the TV or radio. Obviously, there's got the opening game tonight with Inter Miami, and there'll be a little bit of buzz around that because they are, in theory, the host team. But you know, in terms of kind of the wider public knowing whether this tournament's going on or not, I don't really think that they do. I mean, there are groups of sort of travelling fans that you'll see around South Beach and places, lots of kind of Boca fans walking around in their shirts. But other than that, it certainly doesn't feel like, say, a normal World Cup. I think maybe it's a tournament that's a little bit of a slow burner, and once you get to the latter rounds, maybe then the interest will peak a little bit more.
What's on tonight, Rob? Saturday night in Florida?
I'm at the Inter Miami game. I'm working.
He's always working. Beautiful.
Oh, professional.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Rob. Much appreciated. Oh, a bit deja vu. The future of Nico Williams is very much up for discussion once again, as of course it was last summer after his performance in the Euros, linked to a number of big sides across Europe. Not quite with the same sort of view. Why haven't you got a balcony with a view of the seaside? What's going on, Alex?
No balcony. There are some palm trees just gently swaying outside my window, but it's behind the camera, so you can't actually see them. But I promise you, they're there.
There you go. Alex is in California. He is following Real Madrid there. But let's focus, shall we, on Nico Williams, Alex. As I say, here we go again.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this, because, I mean, winger isn't a position that obviously, I think, Barcelona needs strengthening, you know, going into next season, because two of their best players last season, of course, were Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. Now, there's a lot of talk that maybe Hansi Flick likes the idea of moving Rafinha inside from the left wing into the middle, playing behind the centre forward, you know, instead of someone like Dani Olmo or Fermin, and that leaves a vacancy potentially on the left wing for someone like Nico Williams. It's also interesting that Williams is being linked again because you mentioned that interest last summer, and I think, to be honest, Nico Williams and his representatives ended last summer a bit annoyed and a bit angry with Barcelona. They felt they've been sort of led down the garden path a bit by Barcelona in terms of talking about their interest and making a lot of noise about potentially bringing Nico Williams in, and then not following through with it, you know, come the end of the summer, because let's be honest, last year, certainly financially, it wasn't a deal they could do, even though Nico Williams has a fairly accessible, I think, €58 million release clause. So it's interesting that he's being linked again this summer, both positionally and, like I say, because it's him, because of what happened last summer. But it does tell us a lot, I think, about where they're looking to strengthen, about the positions that Hansi Flick likes the idea of bringing in something different, because it hasn't just been Nico Williams, has it? There's been links with Luis Diaz as well in terms of a left-sided forward player.
It's interesting, Alex, because obviously the narrative throughout the whole season was, who needs Williams when you've got Rafinha putting in the performances that he did, obviously, under Hansi Flick last year. And you kind of think, well, why is Hansi Flick wanting to complicate something that works so well?
Yeah, absolutely. Rafinha was one of the best players in not just in Spain, but in Europe, in the Champions League as well. You look at his numbers in terms of goals and assists. He was right up there with any player in Europe. He was one of Barcelona's most important players with Pedri, with Lamine Yamal. Maybe it's a desire and sort of an understanding from Flick that you have to keep evolving. You have to keep things fresh. That going into this season, they can't just do the same things they did last season. Last season, they were so effective. They were the best team in Spain, one of the best teams in Europe. But maybe you can't just go again. Maybe it's good to shake things up, to look to try something new. And he's seen potentially a way to evolve the team. And I guess in his mind, improve the team. But like I say, if you went through the positions of where you think Barcelona need to strengthen this summer, I don't think left wing is obviously one of them.
Why mess with something that works so well, Stevie? Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal and Rafinha were the best front three in the world last year.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get. I understand if you want to evolve the way you play, but I think if you're going to do that and change change it from a season that may have been successful, but you know if we go a different route, it'll be better.
Yeah.
I don't see how Rafinha can be any better than he was last year. And I just don't see how he's possibly...
So is that the problem? Is Hansi Flick thinking he's going to regress the mean? That we're not going to see the same sort of returns? So he's already looking for backup?
No, I think there's a little bit of the coaches always think they can get something extra out of everybody, and whether it's individuals or whether it's their teams. But I just find it hard how Hansi Flick can think that he's going to get... Listen, if Rafinha wins the Ballon d'Or, there's not going to be that many grumbles. That's how good he was.
There will be. People always grumble.
Is he in the top 3?
Yeah,
right.
Definitely in that conversation.
So you think you're going to change a guy who got to such a heady height of being contender for the Ballon d'Or, and you're going to move him to a different position completely, and that's going to benefit who? It's not going to benefit Rafinha. I don't believe that. And if it doesn't benefit Rafinha, how is it going to benefit Barcelona? So I don't understand it. I wouldn't do it, but I get it. You're always thinking you can make things better. Sometimes you're better just leaving it alone.
Like Hansi Flick gets paid the big bucks to make these kinds of decisions. And while, okay, maybe he does see Rafinha as playing in that hole in behind Lewandowski, I'm with Stevie on this. I think you're trying to fix something that isn't broken. And maybe the concern is around Dani Olmo and his fitness and how many games he misses because of injury and how do you adjust for that. But right now, I don't see the need to move Rafinha any. And as a result, then you're now asking yourself, is Nico Williams going to be as effective on that left-hand side? It just feels like you try, and especially given how hard you work to sign Dani Olmo, not only in August, but also in January, just to see him almost be discarded some 6 months later after going to court to make sure he could play the second half of the season, just feels like something is being overdone here, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Meanwhile, interesting enough, yesterday, Alex, we had Gustavo Hoffmann on, obviously well connected within the Brazilian players of the Real Madrid squad. And we talked about the future of Rodrygo, and he was saying that Manchester City would be the preferred destination for the Brazilian international. It's the first time, really, I think, we've heard that sort of link or that sort of rumour. I don't think there's any sort of question that Real Madrid would like Rodrygo to leave to cash in on him, considering, according to Gustavo, he's had enough of playing on the right-hand side. Would Manchester City be a good fit, in your opinion?
With new coach Xabi Alonso, about what his idea is for the player, what his idea is for the team, and where he fits in. Because as Gustavo's been saying, Rodrygo doesn't want to play on the right-hand side anymore. He wants to play on the left. That's very difficult at Real Madrid with Vinicius and Mbappe. But equally, Rodrygo, it's not that he's... Yeah, he wants to be at Real Madrid, I think, but playing where he wants to play and being important and being part of the team. It's not like he's desperate to leave Real Madrid unless he gets a very clear message that he isn't part of the coach's plans. I think Rodrygo's and people have always been very clear that if he were to in order for him to leave, he'd basically have to tell the club that he wants to leave and effectively put in a transfer request and say, I want to go, and sort of try and force it through, because this is not a player, as you say, that Real Madrid are desperate to let go.
Manchester City, Shank?
Similarly, I'm thinking exactly where he fits in. It has to be in that hole behind Erling Haaland. Because if he doesn't want to play on the right-hand side, you just brought in Gundogan, who's been very effective on the left-hand side.
Gundogan's 104 now.
Not Gundogan.
Are you thinking Marmoush?
Marmoush, excuse me. Marmoush on that left-hand side. You just brought him in, and he's been very effective on that left-hand side.
But Rodrygo's better, isn't he, than Marmoush there?
I'm not sure, you sacrifice Marmoush for Rodrygo on that left-hand side. Unless, the idea is to move Marmoush more centrally, because that's the only adjustment here, or the only, unless you're trying to figure out who plays in that hole behind Erling Haaland. I'm just not sure where it all these pieces fit.
Yeah, I'm a Shaka. I don't. He's not guaranteed a spot on the left-hand side for Man City.
Why not?
So why would he go?
Why not?
I think Marmoush has been good. Marmoush has been good.
Yeah, I know. Look, Marmoush has been Marmoush, but it's Rodrygo. Look what he's achieved at Real Madrid. Look at his CV. Look at the trophies that he's won.
Right.
Right, what?
Wait, what? He's not been stand out, Dan.
Because he's been playing in the wrong position.
Well, according to him.
Well, yes, well, he should know.
Well, so we don't. So when was the last time he played on the left-hand side?
A long time ago.
Well, there you go. So how do we know? And then
because when he's been given the opportunity, we know that he can shine.
Come on, no.
No, you're not having it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's that easy. I'm with Steve on that. If we're talking Vinicius Junior, similar CV in terms of what they've won, then you say, well, yeah, Marmoush has got to make room.
You have ditched Marmoush so quickly, Shaq.
For Vinicius Junior, for Vinicius Junior, but I'm not straight off the bat edition for Rodrygo.
I tell you what, Alex, we can see your Arsenal pyjamas folded nicely on the bed behind you. That would make a lot of sense as well, wouldn't it?
Now you're talking sense.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'd say that. I think Arsenal would be a great destination for Rodrygo, but I am very, very biased in that respect. So maybe don't listen to what I have to say on that subject.
No, but that's a player that you need. You need that position filled. It's an upgrade on everything you've got. Go out and spend some money.
Yeah, Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you on this.
Yeah.
On the 10 seconds ago, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But 100%, yes, if you're Arsenal, you go and sign Rodrygo. There's no question he will be an upgrade on what they have. Yeah. That makes complete and utter sense. The one we're talking about before,
all right, we've moved on from that now. We've moved on. We did the Manchester City chat. Now we're talking Arsenal. Okay. How much money are you willing to pay out your own pocket for this, Alex?
No, I won't be footing the bill, and money would be a genuine question because even for Arsenal, I think financially it wouldn't be an easy package in terms of the wages and the kind of transfer fee that Real Madrid would demand. Because I think Real Madrid would be looking for, 100 million plus something for a player. That's what they'd want to bring in. And can Arsenal do that? And could they pay the wages as well? And in terms of you guys' debate about Rodrygo, I think, look, he's never found the consistency to match his talent. Everyone agrees that he's incredibly talented and he's had some of the biggest moments at Real Madrid in the last few years in terms of the Champions League. Those goals against City have come from Rodrygo, but he's never been consistent. He's never scored goals consistently, even when he's got minutes like last season. So that's the big thing for him.
I suppose if you're Arsenal, you're looking at Liverpool bringing in someone like Florian Wirtz. We've already discussed Manchester City making big signings. Arsenal very much behind in that race when it comes to adding to the squad already this season. They have to get a move on. Absolutely.
Listen, Arsenal have had a need for a couple of years that I don't think they've fully addressed even yet. So while Rodrygo is a welcome addition and needed, still not priority number one. But we've had this conversation about Arsenal over the last few years. It's somehow they've addressed every other priority but number one. They need to get that done first of all, before you even start talking. And if Alex is saying 100 million for Rodrygo, which seems a little excessive in my opinion, that doesn't leave an awful lot of wiggle room in terms of bringing in that top-class striker that Arsenal quite clearly need. That's 100 million plus spend. I'm not sure you spend 100 plus at this point on a left-sided player.
Meanwhile, Andy Robertson has been linked to a move to Atletico Madrid, Alex. This has come out of nowhere, really, over the last 24 hours. Of course, a man who has been key in Liverpool's success in the past, maybe just gone off the boil slightly, 31 years of age. How's his Spanish, Alex?
That's a very good question. Has he been taking lessons like Trent Alexander-Arnold? I don't know. Have they been taking lessons together? Just to, save some money on a Spanish teacher. It's an interesting one, and I think that it makes a kind of sense. We've seen Atletico Madrid target the Premier League once or twice in the last few years. Of course, Conor Gallagher moving last summer. We saw Kieran Trippier a few years ago come and be incredibly important for Atletico at fullback in maybe a similar sort of role that Robertson might fill, albeit on the other side. And I can see Robertson as a Simeone player. Atletico have had some, I have this sort of stereotype about them being a defensive team, but they do like to have fullbacks who get forward. They play, a midfielder in Marcus Llorente often on the right-hand side. Left back has been an issue for Atletico. They haven't been happy with the options there. We know it's one of the positions they want to strengthen this summer. And if Andy Robertson is available and would like to move and fancies life in Spain for a year or two, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense for him.
Does it make sense for Atleti?
Yes. I think so. Yeah, no question. Listen, Andy Robertson last season wasn't the Andy Robertson of previous years.
Right.
So clearly we're talking about maybe a wee step that's not there. At the same time, when he goes to Atletico Madrid, he's not going to have the same amount of running to do, in my opinion, which means he's going to be stronger, particularly in the second part of each game. So I think for Andy Robertson himself, it makes sense. I can tell you that I wish I had left Liverpool probably 18 months before I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I blindly thought somehow I was going to get back in the team when everything that was going on around me, including the starting 11, I wasn't in it.
Right.
And so, if Cherki signs, which we believe he will, I mean, there's no clearer sign for Andy that he's now second fiddle. And so, he's got a choice. Does he play second fiddle and he's quite happy? Now, from a Liverpool fan's point of view, that's perfect. You bring in Cherki, you still got Robertson, he's not playing so much games, he's going to be stronger, he's going to be better. So, from a fan's point of view, from a Liverpool point of view, it makes sense for Andy Robertson to be the backup. But it doesn't make sense for Andy Robertson. He needs to play. He's 31. If he understands he's not going to be starting, go to a place like Atletico Madrid, 100%.
Makes sense, Jack?
Absolutely. And just kind of given who Atleti are, how they play, I think this serves Andy Robertson wonderfully well.
Really revealing personal documentaries being broadcast here in Spain, talking about his mental illness and his struggles. Very honest. He's talking about suffering depression. This is prior to Euro 2024. It passed through my head to fake an injury so I would not have to go to the Euros. Is it worth playing for Spain if everywhere I go with my family there are unpleasant incidents with people insulting you and mocking you? It's not worth it. But if I retire from international football, they will win. Alvaro Morata, of course, part of the side that won Euro 2024 with that win against England. Alex, I think what's interesting when you look at Alvaro Morata, there is a vibe about him, and I can't quite translate it into kind of American vernacular, but in English we kind of say he's almost a pantomime villain.
Yeah, I think he's always been a polarising kind of figure as a footballer in Spain, certainly. And part of that, of course, is this career path that he's had in terms of, playing for Real Madrid, then playing for Atletico Madrid, leaving. There's been, just jokes made at times about this thing about him always sort of being unhappy and always moving on and looking for the next thing and the next club. But then the last few years, when he has opened up, as you say, in an incredibly honest and I think quite admirable way about the kind of the mental health struggles that he's experienced, you get a feeling of why. The Euros last year were a huge thing for him as captain, because after all of the difficult times he'd had as a Spain player, we'd seen him being whistled as a Spain player by Real Madrid fans at the Bernabeu, for example, to be the captain of that squad that went on and won it. And he was a very popular captain as well, and the players loved him, and the role that he played as a captain for that squad was really important. It's been very interesting and refreshing, I think, to hear him not just in this interview but in the last year or two talk in a very open way about the issues that he's had. And I think it's a good thing, and I think it's the kind of thing that I think it would be good for football to hear more players, I think, talking like this, because I think it would help a lot of people.
So, Alex, how did the reaction change to maybe as it would have done in the past, him missing that penalty, obviously, in the final?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, look, he still is, as a footballer, he still is a polarising figure, even though he played that role as the captain that won the Euros. Like I said, part of that, I think, is about club colours and how sort of deep that runs in terms of the divide with Real Madrid. I think it helps. Maybe it helps a bit having won the Euros. That you won the Euros last year, and so yes, you missed a penalty in the Nations League final, but it's the Nations League final. It's not like missing a penalty in a World Cup final or a Euro final. It doesn't have the same level, the same degree of sort of intensity, and the fact that I feel like the whole country is sort of looking at it. So it didn't get the kind of reaction that it might have got if it had in another competition. But like I say, even if I think as a player he does still remain, like I say, a polarising figure, I think a lot of people have sort of taken, with the way that he's talked about this over the last year or so, have kind of taken a step back and started to understand that there's a lot more going on here, and that we should think about footballers as people, not just players.
And taking you to have someone say, like, I was thinking of faking an injury, so I wouldn't have to go and play for Spain, my country, because I didn't want to deal with the critics, kind of paints that picture, doesn't it? Exactly where he was mentally.
It does, and on first reading, it kind of hits you hard that this is the extent that Alvaro Morata was bothered by the criticism. But the more I thought about it, the more I'll use all the adjectives that Alex just used. I'll also add needed. I said that this painful honesty is needed because I firmly believe that far more players than you would think go through exactly this type of thing without ever having to speak about it, without having the opportunity, we are almost conditioned during the course of our playing careers coming through that you just have to kind of take this abuse and this is part and parcel and this is what makes you stand out as being different, as being a top-class footballer. And it's not. It absolutely is not. And the more players like Alvaro Morata with his platform speak about it, I think the more other players will kind of work their way out of that stereotype and that expectation. Get the psychiatric help that they need. Get the sports psychologists that they need, which Alvaro Morata had and still was not enough to avoid some of these thoughts. I think more and more you're recognizing the pressures that these players are under, and the dismissal that, well, they paid a lot of money, does not change a single thing, does not change their humanity.
I can't imagine being the captain of your country, going to the Euros, being one of the favourites to win it, and have the state of mind to not want to go. That just tells you how cruel. You know, we always talk about being a professional footballer, and we all think about it as a kid. We all think about scoring the winning goal in a cup final. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, a big part of being a professional footballer is when you make mistakes or you're perceived to be the problem. There's a lot of criticism. And unfortunately, as Shaka said, there's not enough guys like Alvaro Morata with the name and the presence and the stature in the game to come out and talk about it, because I can assure you there are hundreds of thousands of players who just pretend that they're okay, but they're not.
A lot more on that story, by the way, over on our website. Meanwhile, Morata's former side, Atletico Madrid, taking on PSG in one of the marquee games of the opening round of matches of the Club World Cup. You take a look at it, PSG, Champions League winners, second favourites to win the tournament. Atletico Madrid coming in at 15-1. All we've heard from Simeone is about how seriously they want to take this, Alex.
Yeah, that was certainly the message from them this morning in training. I was with them in training here in LA earlier on in the sunshine at the Memorial Coliseum. And yeah, Simeone, as you might expect, talking about taking this tournament seriously, treating it just as importantly as they would any other trophy. That was the message from the players as well. Of course, it's a bit of a strange time to be here in LA with some of the protests that have been going on. Atletico Madrid are staying downtown in their hotel. There's a curfew currently downtown in LA at night time, but the players were saying their preparations haven't been affected too much by that. Simeone saying, you know, they haven't been affected too much in terms of they've been able to rest, they've been getting where they need to be, they've been training as they have to, and everything so far in terms of their preparations has been absolutely on schedule. But they've got a tough opening game, as you say, against PSG, no question. We saw these two teams meet in the Champions League last season. Atletico got absolutely battered and somehow managed to come away with a win, scoring late on to win by a one-goal margin. But it made no sense, that result. I watched that game. It made no sense at all how they managed to beat PSG. And PSG, of course, went on to get better and better as the season went on and end up as the best team in Europe. And Atletico Madrid kind of dropped off at the end of the season as they fell out of the title race as well. So it's a big opening game. But one or two positives have been the likes of the form of Julian Alvarez, who ended the season really strongly. Alexander Sorloth ended the season incredibly strongly, scoring, 7 goals in his last 4 La Liga games, something like that. So I think there are reasons for Atletico to be optimistic about what they can achieve at this tournament. But yeah, like I say, it's a tough one to start at the Rose Bowl tomorrow.
Alex, thank you very much. Alex, last time you were on your travels for us, I think you were in Saudi Arabia. That's when you lost your luggage and you were in a hoodie for 3 days. Are you better prepared this time round?
I learned my lesson, Dan. Hand luggage only this time.
How long are you going to be in the States
hand
for?
Hand luggage only. Oh, well, a couple of weeks, but it's okay. I'll find a laundrette or something. I'll get my clothes washed, don't worry.
Oh, no.
I can pack efficiently.
Oh, dear. Smelly old Kirkland. Just a reminder, we'll be looking back at PSG against Atletico on the next edition of ESPN FC. Be sure to join us. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Shaka Hislop with us, as is Stevie Nicol. Stevie came in and was talking about... Stevie likes to watch YouTube occasionally.
Yeah, now and again.
On the occasion.
Now and again.
And you're watching the 1988 game between Chelsea and Liverpool.
Yes.
Which little 7-year-old Dan Thomas was at.
He was boy.
What a treat, eh? I remember...
Dan remembered all the goals and everything.
Because I remember Beardsley having the penalty save and John Barnes scoring the free kick.
If you want to see 2 of the worst penalties
there you are.
given, One against me, by the way.
Right. And it wasn't a penalty?
Not a million years.
I think we need impartial advice on this.
Seriously, I thought that was bad enough. But you want to see the one that he gave for us.
Right.
Ray Houghton fell over his shoelace and the ref gave a penalty.
Fantastic.
I mean, it was embarrassing.
Who scored for Chelsea? I don't remember. Well, there we are. And it's Father's Day, of course, tomorrow. Are you here tomorrow, Steve, for Father's Day?
Gordon Dury.
Gordon Dury, there we go.
His nickname is Jukebox.
Tell us why it's Jukebox, Steve, if you can.
Oh, Jukebox. Sorry, it was a programme on TV.
Okay.
So there was a music programme on TV in the UK.
Yes.
Back in the 80s called Jukebox Jury.
Oh, right.
Jury being J-U-R-Y.
J?
Well, we say Jai.
You say Jai?
Yeah. Who says Jai?
I've never heard you say Jai in your life.
Does Scott say Jai?
Do you really say Jai?
Yeah, I just said it, didn't I?
Well, just because you said it, it's like vice versa.
Well,
everybody says vice versa, by the way.
No, I say Jai. J-U-R-Y, Jury.
Really?
Seriously?
Yeah.
I have never heard that.
I'm sorry.
When you say we, you mean Scottish. The Scottish say, all right.
All Scottish say Jai.
His name was Gordon Dury with a D. Is that okay? D all right?
No, well, they Jai.
A die,
Yeah.
So
was it with a die?
That was his nickname.
Oh, well, there we go. And it's Father's Day tomorrow. Are you working tomorrow?
I am. I'm here tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow as well. Stevie, you got a little present
I got a present. I got an early.
Just to give you a tee up for this. When it comes to DIY, this may surprise you to learn, Stevie is very much at the bottom of the pile when it comes to any sort of DIY skill or ambition.
Not on the pile.
Well, yes, we know your story with your basketball.
Yeah, I am bottom, more bottom than stupid.
Yeah. And then, what was your present that Eleanor gave you early?
My wife came in to me and said, "I've got you an early Father's Day present."
Yes.
I was going to say a box of spanners. It was a box of
screwdrivers.
Right,
don't even know. Don't even know what they're called.
A box of screwdrivers.
Wow. And what was her explanation?
She's fed up looking around the house to find screwdrivers.
So really it's a present for herself?
I have no idea. It's certainly not for me.
Oh man, Shaki, you've got to tell the basketball story.
Oh, one year, I can't remember if it was Christmas or my son's birthday, we bought him a basketball hoop. So my wife says, you have to go outside, set it up. So I get, I'm chugging along. All of a sudden I get to a point, I'm like, part's missing. So we bought it from Dick's Sporting Goods. So I'm on the phone to Dick.
You rang the Mardi, angry,
I rang him. I'm like, listen, I'm telling you, a part's missing. I'm on the phone for like an hour with Dick's, trying to get a part. But then I had to go away right after that. I can't remember where I was going.
Yeah.
I had to be away for a couple of days. So I left the next day to go away. My wife sends me a video of the basketball hoop, fully assembled, little man playing his basketball. She got it done. I was on the phone for an hour with Dick. So ever since that, my wife has completely banned me from any DIY stuff.
That's a blessing in disguise. It's like do the washing up badly and never be asked to do it again.
It's a little emasculating. Put it that way.
Stevie, if you managed any of the MLS clubs in the Club World Cup, would you feel worried that you might get embarrassed in the tournament? Would that affect your strategy and style of play when preparing for the matches?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, obviously, you had experience of this, but slightly different when you played Real Madrid and you were manager of the MLS All-Stars and Real Madrid won 5-0. But that was different because...
6.
Maybe 6. But that was different because you had to have 2 players from each team, yeah?
Yeah.
So this was... So say your Rev side, how would they get on in this sort of competition and how would you prepare for it?
Well, I would suggest that the Real Madrids, the Man Cities, the PSGs, the Bayerns, all the top teams, they're absolutely 100% is a possibility of getting embarrassed. Because under normal circumstances, when MLS teams play these sides, it absolutely is in the middle of their pre-season.
Yeah. So you see 11 substitutes, second half.
Yeah, the substitution, but generally MLS teams can compete because they're in the middle of the season and they're at the strongest. The problem with this is that it's not that long ago that these sides stopped playing, so they'll be a lot stronger and a lot fitter and sharper than they normally would.
Right.
So for the top teams, there is a possibility of getting embarrassed.
Shaka, do you think City need to bring in a new number 1 if they're going to challenge next season?
Is Edison going anywhere yet?
Well, talk to him going to Saudi Arabia.
There was talks last year about that as well.
Okay, I was just saying, Shaq, sorry.
If he goes, yes. If he goes, yes.
Right.
If not, I don't think that's a major need right now.
Will Florian Wirtz finally get Stevie to cheer up? You been in a bad mood, Stevie?
No, I don't.
You won the league, you think they'd be happy?
Aye.
Quite chipper?
You're a very happy man, just generally, Steve.
Yeah, no, exactly. You've got new screwdrivers.
I think perplexity, Doc, is thinking, because I said I wanted a centre forward a few days ago.
What was that noise you just did?
I was trying to say the name.
Perplexity Doc.
Perplexed
there you go.
Doc.
Right.
It's 2 words.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I got it wrong as well.
What's Perplexity Doc?
I don't know. He went. I thought he was choking.
Listen to the massive
I was
pronunciation
perplexed.
over there.
And I'm a doc.
People's
Really?
names.
Yeah.
So why aren't you a DR instead of a DOC?
DR is medical doctor.
You're happy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I know that, Jack. But
I'm
so
not
what's
the-
he, a document?
I'm not the medical doctor.
Yes, but you would be a DR, no?
I don't know.
You were given that token doctorate.
Not a token honorary doctorate.
But it's still spelled the same as a normal doctor.
It's spelled PhD.
Oh. Stevie, did you ever consider leaving Liverpool? To outside of the UK in your prime? And also started learning any language as a matter of preparation?
What? No, never.
No, never. Italy
Never.
was the kind of the place, wasn't it, to go back in your day?
That kicked in around the 90s.
Yes.
I mean, the only chance I had, and I never even thought about it, to be honest, it wasn't an option, was Rangers in Glasgow when Graham Souness took over.
That's when they were big.
Yeah, when Souness took over in '87, he called me and asked me if I would go. But it took me about 0.1 of a second to say no.
Say no, you're fine. Would you have played for Celtic, given that you were a Rangers supporter? You'd get Celtic green on today.
Tell you what, that would have been a tough one.
Right.
That would have been a tough.
Now that Dan's hate for Manchester United is out in the open, don't think I hate Manchester United, I was just picking Don
You don't
Wright.
love them, do you?
Sorry?
You don't love them.
I have no real opinion about them or any other club.
Fool me.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
Now that Dan's hate for Manchester United is out in the... I did live in Manchester for 6 months and it was the most miserable 6 months of my life, but that's nothing to do with it. Now that Dan's hate...
Piling in for no reason now.
Yeah.
Well, I could hate City as well.
But you don't, do you?
Just hate Manchester as a
You
city.
just keep picking on United, though.
I don't pick on United, I just don't think they're finishing top 4. That was it. And Don... is that in the open? He doesn't think they have a chance of a top 10 next season. Very good. I didn't say top 10. What are his realistic expectations for the upcoming season? What do you think for United?
For me?
Yes.
Well, when I was here the other day, I said, at the absolute best, top 6.
Did you watch Don going a bit mad?
I did. It didn't make any sense. It made no sense if they just had Aït-Nouri. Not Aït-Nouri.
Cunha?
Cunha, sorry.
Right.
And it didn't make any sense either, even if they got Osimhen.
Yeah.
And who was the other one? Buemo?
Yes,
yeah,
Buemo, correct,
Buemo. Yeah, from Brentford.
He sort of forgot about the middle of the park and the back
Yes,
four
he did,
and the
yes.
goalkeeper.
Yes.
But other than that, he's
Yeah.
right. No happening.
So what are we saying? Where are they finishing now with this squad next season?
I said, top 8. For me, top 8 is the best. Right now, is the absolute best
So that's
Manchester
8
United can hope for.
basically,
Yeah.
that's in top 8.
Absolute best.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I hate them. Shaka, have you talked to your friend Dwight York about how Trinidad and Tobago is feeling entering the Gold Cup and the general vibes of the football team? So Gold Cup kicks off tomorrow.
Correct, against the US.
national team, yeah.
It's our first game. And to the question, no, I have not.
Why not?
I've just kind of left Dwight to do his thing. I'm in regular contact with Russell Latifi, his assistant.
Right.
We all played together growing up, and I just feel Dwight's the head coach. I'm staying out, I'm kind of hands off with that. I communicate far more regularly with Russell about everything else. Let Dwight do his job without worrying about me.
Is there a goalkeeping coach who's taken that role instead of you? Because I imagine you would have been the...
The goalkeeping coach is a guy by the name of Ross Russell, who's a very good friend of mine. we have good goalkeeping coaches in Trinidad. Ross, who's not there now. Clayton Ince, who's also part of 2016, is an outstanding coach. I'm not a coach.
No? What are you, Shek?
I just hang around.
You're a handyman.
Yeah.
A doctor, but not a useful doctor.
I've got some screwdrivers.
How many times in your life do you think you ever use those screwdrivers now?
Do you know what? I actually used a screwdriver the other day, and tomorrow I'm going to use a screwdriver, funnily enough.
Wow.
But I didn't need a whole bag of them.
What are you going to be screwdriving tomorrow?
I'm going to take we took down there was cutting poles.
Curtain poles, yeah.
We moved into.
Right.
And so they've got big metal things that need unscrewed and taken off, so I'll be doing that tomorrow.
I can do that kind of thing. Unscrew stuff.
Unscrew
I can unscrew
poles.
stuff.
Yeah, that's my...
I need some
that's my
tools.
limit.
So I can
Okay,
unscrew
this is
stuff.
a very Stevie final question. Start, bench or drop? Breakfast, lunch, dinner?
Oh, that's easy.
That's easy.
Easy.
Oh.
Breakfast. Breakfast starts every time.
What? That's your main meal, breakfast?
Aye. No,
Wow.
no, I'm not having it at like 7 or 8 in the morning. I'm probably going to have it at like 10:30, 11
So you've
o'clock.
chosen a meal that doesn't have ground beef in?
It's got bacon in it. It's got sausage in
Well,
it.
yes, but that's not ground beef,
Yeah.
is it?
Oh, no, breakfast. Toast. Sausage,
Yes.
bacon,
Yes.
eggs,
Yep.
cup of tea,
Beans.
beans.
Lovely.
That's it.
Now, do you have that every day?
No.
Okay.
Usually the weekends. Usually the weekends.
So what's during the week, Stevie? What's the...
During the week?
Yes.
I don't have breakfast.
Oh, so your favourite meal you don't have
Correct.
for 5 days out of 7?
Correct.
So therefore, surely that
Called
negates the
discipline.
argument.
No, it's not. No. What size would it be if I ate that lot every day? Hey? Seriously. Honestly. I would eat that every single day if
Right.
So what's on the bench
If we
then?
do it, we're not put on another 3 stone.
Okay.
I'd eat that for fun every day.
Right, but
What-
only at weekends.
Right now, generally weekend.
Oh.
So what's bench and drop then?
No, it's not just weekends. That is just.
I don't care.
You don't care about lunch or dinner. Breakfast is so superior to the other two. They're
Oh, you
forgotten.
get- honestly, if somebody said, right, you can have 1 meal a day and that's all you're getting
Yes.
every single day,
Yeah.
I'll have breakfast every day
Wow.
with that.
Now,
Sausage,
Shaka,
bacon.
where do you stand on this?
Oh, my 1 meal a day would be dinner.
Okay.
All day long, every year, all dinner.
Why dinner?
Dinner is just more fun.
Fun?
Well, I just feel dinner's got more about it. You look forward to dinner. You spend all day thinking,
Oh, okay.
dinner.
Yeah.
Can't wait for dinner.
Right. But what about Stevie's argument about breakfast? What if you had Stevie's breakfast every day?
Oh, Stevie's point.
What's
I
your
couldn't have that breakfast every day.
So what's the culture in TNT for breakfast? I bet it's not sausage, bacon and eggs, is it?
No. It could be any number of things.
Culture.
You can have sausage,
It
bacon,
could,
and
it could be
eggs for
any.
dinner.
It could be
Yeah,
any
it's
number of things.
cultural,
It could be any number of things.
But for dinner, you could have.
You have doubles. You have black pudding. We got all sorts. We got it going on.
Sausage, bacon, eggs for dinner and toast and a cup of tea.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Get yourself a shake.
Dinner's a winner.
Okay then. Well, there we are then. Controversy to end today's show. Yes, it's the summer.
Welcome to Sport Lab, where transfer whispers meet tactical insight. From Manchester to Madrid, rising stars to raw honesty, this update covers it all. Let's get straight to it. Manchester City, business done early. New arrivals at the Etihad. Josko Gvardiol left back. Mateo Kovacic midfielder. Kovacic says he's excited to work under Pep Guardiola, citing Andres Iniesta and Kevin De Bruyne as inspirations. This is more than just depth. City are proactively addressing the midfield fatigue that hampered them late last season. Proven quality, signed early, classic Guardiola planning. Club World Cup, not just a tour. Manchester City are taking the Club World Cup seriously. While local interest in Miami is underwhelming, the competition itself is not. PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid are all in it to win. Next fixture, PSG versus Atletico. Coverage continues here on Sport Lab. Rodrygo to Manchester City. Rumors suggest that Rodrygo would prefer a move to Manchester City if he ever leaves Real Madrid. and he wants to play on the left wing. But does he actually fit? With Doku and Grealish already occupying that flank, City may be more stocked than suited. Dan Thomas sums it up well. City's early business is smart, but Rodrygo's fit is unclear. Barcelona and Nico Williams. Same story again. Barcelona are once again linked with Athletic Club's Nico Williams, a move that fell through last summer. But is this the right time? Rafinha and Lamine Yamal have been highly effective on the flanks. Disrupting that duo might not be worth the gamble. Stevie Nicol puts it plainly. Don't fix what isn't broken. Barca's left wing is fine as is. Andy Robertson to Atletico Madrid. Reports suggest Atletico Madrid are considering a move for Andy Robertson. At 31, Robertson needs minutes, and Simeone is looking for an attacking-minded left-back. Nicol comments, Atleti's a great fit. At 31, you need to play, not rotate. If the deal happens, it could be the fresh start Robertson needs. Alvaro Morata. Speaking out on mental health. Alvaro Morata has revealed he considered faking an injury to avoid Euro 2024 due to the toll media criticism has taken on his mental health. His candidness has sparked important conversations across football media. Shaka Hislop. Morata's openness is admirable. Football needs more of this. It's a reminder that mental strength isn't about hiding struggle, it's about owning it. Quick takes. Morata's honesty is the moment of the week. Rodrygo to City raises more questions than answers. Nico Williams to Barca. Timing feels off. Kovacic and Gvardiol. No nonsense, high-impact signings. His priorities are clear. That's all from SportLab, your home for clear-eyed analysis, tactical breakdowns, and the stories that go beyond the pitch. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Club World Cup coverage continues with PSG versus Atletico Madrid. See you next time.